Most people know the word rapture, but almost no one knows the key Jesus gave to be part of it. It wasn't a prophecy chart. It wasn't hidden in some ancient scroll. It was one simple verse spoken by Jesus himself, and yet we all overlooked it. While believers debate signs, timelines, and tribulation theories, Jesus dropped a spiritual bomb and moved on. But that verse holds the secret. The irony, it's been in plain sight this whole time. No secret codes, no Greek deep dive, just one sentence that's both a warning and a lifeline. Jesus revealed the rapture key in one verse, and it wasn't meant to be admired. It was meant to be applied. Ignore it, and no amount of end-time knowledge will save you from spiritual unpreparedness. Embrace it, and you'll be ready no matter when the day comes. This video is not about decoding the next headline. It's about uncovering the instruction that prepares you for the moment no one can predict. In a world where many are awake to signs but asleep in spirit, this one verse is the dividing line. Jesus wasn't trying to create scholars. He was raising watchmen. And this one key, it changes everything. So if you're tired of theories and ready for clarity, pay attention. Like this video, share it with someone who's hungry for truth, and comment below. Did you ever realize this one verse held the key? Now let's uncover the verse Jesus revealed and we all overlooked. Some people are chasing prophecy like it's a treasure map. But what if the secret isn't about the when, it's about the how? In Luke 21:36, Jesus drops a bomb that most people read too fast. Watch therefore and pray always. This isn't poetry. It's a spiritual survival protocol. The focus isn't hitting dates like a lottery ticket. It's about maintaining a constant posture. This verse isn't just information. It's a strategic instruction. Look how he builds the path. Watch meaning stay sharp. Always consistency, not just when things get hard. Pray real direct connection, not stiff religious formality. And all of it so that you may be counted worthy. In other words, it has a purpose to be found approved. Jesus didn't hand us a timeline with color-coded charts. He gave a key, practical and conditional. Some folks think escaping chaos is wishful thinking, but Jesus says it clearly. Escape all these things. That's not cowardly running. It's promised protection and more to stand before the Son of Man. That's the language of honor, of standing firm. It's not just about making it through the tribulation. It's about being approved in the midst of it. Standing tall, not crushed by the pressure of the world. This verse is a condensed map. Watching and praying aren't just spiritual actions. The condition comes before the deliverance, and the deliverance before the approval. It's pointless to know what's coming if you don't know how to position yourself. And speaking of positioning, have you noticed where Jesus places this key? Let's look at what comes right before it. Jesus didn't drop that verse out of nowhere. Luke 21:36 shows up right after a series of heavy warnings, signs in the skies, chaos on the earth, and hearts weighed down with anxiety, distractions, and spiritual dullness. Most people camp out on the signs, blood moons, wars, global tension. But Jesus shifts the spotlight, his concern, the condition of the heart. While the crowd looks up, he's telling us to look within. We often forget that this verse sits in the middle of Jesus' end-time sermon, a message full of prophetic insight. But right before verse 36, he says something that should shake us. Be careful or your hearts will be weighed down. It's like he's saying, you can know all the signs and still miss me if you're not watching your own soul. That's not just spiritual advice. That's battlefield strategy. Internal chaos can blind you more than external events. There's a major contrast here. The masses focus on the spectacle, earthquakes, pandemics, and political crisis. But Jesus zeroes in on the silent killers, worry, indulgence, and spiritual sleep. He's not giving theory. He's giving field instructions for disciples in the last days. Verse 36 isn't a side note. It's the operational command in the middle of a spiritual war zone. This isn't about headlines. It's about heart readiness. This connects perfectly to Matthew 24 and 25. In fact, the call to watch becomes a bridge between Jesus' prophetic teaching and the parable of the 10 virgins. One side shows the signs. The other shows the response. And guess what? Only the ones who stayed alert and prepared had oil when the moment came. Speaking of details we often miss, there's a phrase in this verse that changes everything. Ready to see it? There's a phrase in Luke 21:36 that most people skim right over, and it's the heartbeat of the whole verse at all times. Jesus wasn't talking about spiritual highs during conferences or random bursts of devotion. He was pointing to a lifestyle, a rhythm, a daily awareness, a state of being. Watching and praying at all times means you don't wait for trouble to start tuning in. It's not seasonal. It's habitual like breathing. Quiet but constant. Then he adds praying. Not just reciting words, but staying in sync with the Spirit. It's less about elegant speeches and more about inner alignment. Imagine driving through a storm. You don't just glance at the road every now and then. You're locked in. That's what prayer looks like here. Not formal, but focused. It's about discernment, sensing when to move, when to wait, and when to speak. A quiet radar always on. And then the real twist, so that those two little words reveal a condition. This isn't a general encouragement. It's a direct path to being counted worthy. Being counted worthy. Jesus is saying watching and praying aren't just good habits. They're prerequisites. Want to be protected? Want to stand before the Son of Man? Then this is how. It's not automatic. It's conditional. This flips the entire narrative for people waiting passively. Finally, Jesus says, escape all these things and stand before the Son of Man. This isn't about fear. It's about promise. Escape doesn't mean running away. It means divine shielding. And standing isn't just surviving. It's standing tall, approved, unashamed. Many know about the rapture. Few live the rhythm that prepares them for it. And that's where the subtle danger sneaks in. It often looks spiritual, but it numbs you to the real thing. One of the sneakiest traps today is an outright sin. It's distraction, dressed in religious clothes. People binge on prophecy content, end times debates, or news cycles thinking they're being watchful when in reality, they're just spiritually overloaded and undernourished. It's like eating junk food at a buffet of sacred information. You get full, but not fed. Jesus warned us the real danger isn't outside. It's a heavy heart on the inside. He listed 3 specific weights in Luke 21:34. Indulgence, drunkenness, and life's anxieties. And these aren't just literal. They're symbolic. Some are drunk on content, addicted to the next big sign, but prayer life dry. Others are overwhelmed with daily worries, scrolling headlines instead of seeking his face. And some are simply too busy doing ministry to notice their inner fire is flickering. It's a holy burnout, and it's deadly. We're being pulled by 3 modern seductions: spectacle, anxiety, and religious busyness. The first chases signs instead of holiness. The second fills the soul with fear instead of faith. And the third trades intimacy for activity, being busy for God without being still with God. This is why Jesus said the day would come like a trap, sudden, unexpected, not because we didn't hear about it, but because we weren't ready for it. Here's the tension. Studying the end times without daily devotion doesn't prepare you. It numbs you. You think you're awake because you know, but you're spiritually dozing off because you don't watch. That's the danger. Many have their eyes on the sky, but their hearts anchored to the ground. And now that we've unmasked the distraction, the question becomes, how do we live out the verse in real life? Let's break that down. Truth hits deepest when it turns into rhythm. So, how do we actually live? Luke 21:36. Let's make it simple and doable. One powerful tool is the 3x3 rule. 3 pauses of 3 minutes each day, morning, midday, and evening. During each pause, you align, examine, and obey. Start your day asking, Lord, don't let me miss your will today. Midday, ask, where did my heart drift? And at night, what do I need to surrender before sleep? It's not about perfection. It's about awareness. If you consistently realign your focus, your spirit stays light and sharp. And here's where fasting steps in. Not the kind that drains you, but the kind that reawakens you. Try a fast from noise. No news or social media in certain time blocks. Or fast from vanity. Anything that fuels your flesh but cools your spirit. These aren't rules. They're keys, and they open spiritual sensitivity. Then comes the core trio of readiness. Word, prayer, and obedience. Meditate on scripture not for head knowledge, but heart transformation. Choose one verse in the morning and apply it throughout your day. Like be still and know when chaos surrounds you. Prayer. Don't just list requests. Intercede for others. And obedience. Make it immediate. That nudge to forgive. Call someone or unplug for quiet. Do it right then. And here's a powerful tool. The oil checklist drawn from the parable of the wise virgins. Ask yourself, do I have secret history with God? Is my conscience clean, or am I dragging guilt around? Am I willing to obey without applause? These aren't performance metrics. They're intimacy markers. And once these rhythms start flowing, you'll begin noticing something shift deep inside. How do you know if the key of Luke 21:36 has actually turned in your life? It's not about feelings, it's about evidence. One of the clearest signs is unshakable peace right in the middle of chaos. While others panic at the next global headline, your spirit stays anchored. Why? Because your eyes aren't on the storm. They're on the Son of Man. That inner stillness becomes a divine indicator. You're not just informed, you're aligned. Another sign, quick obedience. When God nudges your heart, you don't debate, you move. Whether it's forgiving someone, breaking a habit, or making space for prayer, you act fast. That readiness shows you're watching and praying at all times. You're not living from Sunday to Sunday or conference to conference. You're walking daily steadily. And in that walk, the love for this world begins to fade. Holiness starts to taste better than distraction. But beware, traps still lurk. A common one is mistaking worthy for perfect. This isn't about earning a spiritual trophy. It's about alignment, not merit. Another is swapping real prayer for endless consumption, even of biblical content. If you're watching 6 sermons but haven't spoken to God directly, something's off. And perhaps the biggest, living off spiritual highs instead of spiritual habits. Peaks inspire, but it's daily rhythm that sustains. Want a simple test? Look back over your past 7 days. Did your prayer life influence your decisions? Did it shape how you responded to people, temptations, or stress? If yes, the key is turning. If not, if you've just gathered information, then it's time to go back to the verse. Not to study it harder, but to live it deeper. And speaking of living it, let's zoom out and look at the full picture one last time. One verse, one key, one decision. Jesus already gave the roadmap not to spark debate, but to ignite devotion. Not someday, not just when the world shakes, but today. Now the question isn't, do you know about the rapture? It's, are you living ready for it? Because in the end, those who stand before the Son of Man won't be the ones with the most knowledge, but the ones with the most oil. So, what about you? Is your prayer life shifting your choices? Are you watching with your heart or just your eyes? Are you prepared to obey without applause, fast without posting, and seek God without waiting for a crisis? Because this is how the key turns. Quietly, daily, faithfully. Let this message be your wake-up call. Not another video to consume, but a moment that moves you. Practice the 3i3 rule. Fast from noise. Guard your heart. Open your Bible and ask, Lord, where am I spiritually asleep? Don't just wait for another sign in the sky. Become the kind of person Jesus described, found worthy, standing ready. If this opened your eyes, hit the like button and drop a comment. What part of Luke 21:36 hit you the hardest? Subscribe and turn on notifications. We're building a community that doesn't just study prophecy, we live it. And for the next 7 days, join the Watch and Pray Challenge. 3 pauses a day, 1 decision.